do we discourage creativity? And I got to thinking about all of the times that my students have come into my studio, and while I'm fiddling with their notebook or doing something, they're doing something like this. Right? Or they're just like, or they're just doing little doodles, right? And what I say to them often is very telling. I say, that's nice. I try to be real chipper about it. Now let's get to your lesson, okay? Or I say, that's interesting, as if, you know, the chipperness will help somehow. That's not a word, chipperness, I don't think. Now let's get to your music. And to a child, what's happening is they're translating that into what you're playing is not music. Let's get to your music means what they're playing is not really music, and your pieces are not really important. Now, I'm not saying that they actually go through that and think those specific words in their mind, but it does give them that sort of feeling. It sort of just downplays the significance of what they're doing. And if you think about it, I mentioned this before, but what you put in front of them is your choice. The notes are the composer's choice, the fingering is the editor's choice. How much of your lesson is something that they choose? It's probably that one little doodle they did. And then you just quickly, or I quickly bypass it. And so I think this is very discouraging to students. And so I think that probably one of the reasons that my piano teacher did this to me is just because she didn't have time, or she didn't know what to do. She had no idea how to compose. She was not good at improvisation. And so she just was at a loss for words. Let's get to your music. I mean, that's what she knew. And so, you know, I don't fault her for that in any way. And I certainly don't fault anybody here for doing that sort of thing. But what I'd like to do is just give you some things that you can do with your students so that we're not minimizing the things that they're actually composing for us. So how do we encourage creativity? How many of you have children? Okay, do you remember the first time, or maybe not the first time, but you remember that when your child brought you a picture? Do you remember how excited they were about that picture? And, Mommy, look at this. And you looked at it and you said something great about it. Oh, that's beautiful. What was their response? What?
I'll do another one.
I'll do another one. Exactly. Yes, which meant they might do 5 or 10 or 20 or something like that, which is great, but they were excited about that process, right? Now, sometimes when my son brings me a picture and I say, oh, honey, I love the way that you use those colors. It's so colorful. Sometimes he doesn't go and create another one. Sometimes instead, he runs out the back door and he plays in the backyard. Now, how does he go out the back door? He doesn't walk and say, I'm bored, or anything like that. He's really excited, right? Affirming a child's creativity gives them energy and excitement for other things, not just for creating something. So affirm their creativity, and that gives them the excitement for the new repertoire, or the new theory, or the new technique. It just gives them excitement about the lesson in general.